This is Lesson 5, Compare and Order Fractions, Decimals, and Percents. So we're going to be given a bunch of different numbers, and we're going to need to put them from least to greatest. Your code word for this lesson is Twix. You can follow along with me on page 130. This is letter D. We are asked to order these 4 fractions from least to greatest. There are several different ways you can do this. The first way would be to convert each of these into a decimal and order them that way. Another way we can do it is we can look at their denominators. So we can look at 2, 6, 3, and 5 and see what their least common multiple is. And we know how to do that from last chapter. So if you go through all the different multiples, so like 2, 4, 6, 8, they actually all have in common 30. 30 goes into each of those. So I can transfer each of those to have that greatest denominator of 30. So 1/2 into 30 would be 2 times 15, so 1 times 15 is 15 over 30. 5/6 into 30. 6 goes into 30, 6 times 5, so I do 5 times 5, which is 25. 2/3 into 30. 3 times 10 gets me 30, so 2 times 10 is 20. 3/5 into 30. 5 times 6 is 30, so 3 times 6 is 18. So I have 15 over 30, 25 over 30, 18 over 30, and 20 over 30. Notice it's a lot easier to order them now that they all have the same denominator. So looking at these, I can see that 15 over 30 comes first, and then 18 over 30, 20 over 30, and 25 over 30. That would be from least to greatest. Now, my last step to do this is I actually need to use my same numbers. So I would have 1/2, because that's what 15 over 30 was. I would have 3/5, 2/3, and 5/6. So this would then be my answer. Now again, if you would rather turn all of those into decimals, you may do that too. You can follow along with me on page 131. We are going to do E, F, H, and I. We need to compare these and see which one is greater than, less than, or equal to. The first problem, 2/3 and 0.6. I'm going to either need to turn both of those into fractions or both of those into decimals. Well, let's turn them both into decimals. So I want to change 2/3 into a decimal. Well, remember that top number goes on the inside, 3 goes on the outside. Add your point and your 0. 3 goes into 20 6 times. Let me write it down here so we can see it. 2.0. 3 goes into 20 6 times, minus 18. 10 minus 8 is 2. Bring down another 0 because we can't have a remainder. Don't forget that decimal point. 3 goes into 20 6 times again. Minus 18 is 2. Now, I can stop because what do I notice? 2/3 is the same as saying 0.66 or 66 hundredths. Which one is bigger? Well, 66 hundredths is bigger than 60 hundredths. So 2/3 is greater than 0.6 tenths. Letter F. I want to see which one is greater. So let's turn 7/10 into 7 over 10 into a fraction. I want to compare 7/10 and 8 over 11. I now want to compare these. I can find the best denominator to compare them, or I can just see that 7/10 is actually going to be less than 8 over 11. Next one, letter H, 42% and 0.44. Well, let's turn them both into percents. Remember, I can take 0.44 or 44 hundredths and just move the decimal place over to the right twice. So this would actually be 44%. Well, which one is greater? 44% is greater than 42%. My last one, 7% and 7 over 10. Remember, 7%, if I want to change it into a decimal, I would move the decimal point over 2 times, so I have 0.07. Now, that still doesn't help me, so let's convert that into a fraction now. 0.07 7/100ths is the same as saying 7 out of 100. Is 7 over 100 less than, greater than, or equal to 7 over 10? Well, I'd rather get 7 out of 10 correct on a quiz than 7 out of 100. So 7 out of 100 is going to be less than 7 over 10.